basically ActorCore characters into Blender. I'll talk about like how you can modify those ActorCore characters in both Blender and in iClone as well. We'll do some animation in iClone and bring our characters into Blender as well. So generally, we're just going to be talking about ActorCore characters and taking them into Blender for the most part. We'll do a little bit of substance player editing as well. But yeah, that's really about all there is to it. You're probably familiar already with this outline here. If you've registered for the webinar, this is what we're going to be talking about today. Yeah, so a couple of things before we get started. As always, we are recording this, so if you missed something or you are going too fast at some point, you can always review later. We're going to be sending you a link later on. You can check out and review on your own time. We're also going to be live streaming this on YouTube. And we're going to be recording it and live streaming it on YouTube, so you can watch it later there as well. Excuse me. And yeah, so we're not going to be taking questions on YouTube, just so you're aware, in the YouTube comments. But we are taking questions via Zoom in the Zoom panel. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, we'll take some time at the end of the webinar and answer those questions. You can put them in the Q&A section of the Zoom panel there, and I'll get to those questions later on. I may throw some links once in a while on the chat window, but I won't be answering questions from the chat windows. Just be aware of that. What else do we have? I think that's about it for the introduction for the webinar. A couple things to go through here. We'll close down this webinar outline here. Hope I go to ActorCore. ActorCore always has free content. Recommend coming back weekly to check out the new content, free content right here. ActorCore.reallusion.com. Free content. You can find all sorts of stuff here. Register for it, get your monthly freebie and how to download the freebie. You can find all that stuff here. I won't talk about that right now. That's stuff you can kind of look up on your own time. You can see this. There's a monthly freebie, this actor right here, secretary. If you need a secretary for your scene, you get it for free. All right. Yeah, so this is the ActorCore outline right here. We are going to be talking a little bit about Blender, like I mentioned. Well, not a little bit, a bit more about Blender. Half the webinar is going to be about Blender, to be honest. Yeah, if you want, you can check out our Blender page here. This is our Blender page. If you can even just Google like Blender CC3, and it should be the first one that pops up here. Yeah, right here. And I'll throw this link in the chat window for you guys in case you want to check it out, because this is a very important page that you need to visit in order to download the plugins and the add-on for Blender. So that's the chat window there. Hopefully all you guys have audio. I just saw a comment in the chat about audio. I can hear myself and my audio levels seem okay. So yeah, okay, cool. Let's get to it. So that's a page you definitely want to visit. And before we get started, let's just take a browse through this page really quickly, because we're really focusing on getting our character creator and ActorCore characters into Blender. This is a pipeline that we're going to be focusing on quite significantly in the near future. Blender 3.0, as you might know, has been recently released. A lot of great improvements, really fast program, and a lot of cool stuff you can do there. You can see some of it going on in the background. So here we go. Just to browse through this page really quick. It kind of explains a little bit about the pipeline here. You can, do some sculpting and modeling in Blender. There's an asset library for Blender. You can create your own characters and outfits. There's a tutorial on this page at the bottom that you can check out that goes through the process on how to do that. I'm not much of a modeler myself, so I'm not in those tutorials. Yeah, you can create your own hairstyles as well. You can take a look at all these tutorials to learn how to do all that stuff. Lots of learning resources here. And we are going to be rendering an Eevee. Not much in cycles. I'll show you the cycles process and subsurface scattering later on. Yeah, material adjustment physics. Yeah, not too much that I want to really go into detail on. All the tutorials here at the bottom. So if you want to take a look at, a more specific part of the entire pipeline, there's all the stuff down here. There's hair tools, character assets, auto setup, animation workflow, and all that stuff. There's tutorials all down here at the bottom. But one thing you want to make sure that you do is you need to download the add-on for Blender. And you also need to, if you're taking characters from Blender back into CC3, then you also need to download that plugin for CC3 as well. And that can be found here under downloads. And Victor Soup, the hero of the day, has graciously provided us with a couple of these tools here. So the CC3 Blender tools, this is the one that you need to install in Blender. So in order to download it, just go up to code right here and download zip. Okay. And it'll just download blah, blah, blah. Okay. And if you want to have the plugin that goes, excuse me, allows you to take your Blender characters back into CC3 later on. Just note, preface here that we cannot take ActorCore characters into CC3 at this time. Okay. Just be aware of that. That's for the next version, but currently not able to do that. So only CC3, they're called CC3 base plus characters, can go back into CC3 after you've modified them in Blender. So yeah, go back to the main soup day folder here, and there is the CC3 Blender Tools plugin here. You can just click that. This is also a zip file. Just download the zip here, and there you go. So now you have the two files that you need. I'm not going to be showing you the CC3 to Blender pipeline. We're going to be focusing on the other way around. Okay, so now that you have all those two, I'll talk about how to install them a little bit later. But first of all, let's take a look at how to download stuff from ActorCore. So I'm going to go back to the ActorCore page here. As you may know, tons and tons of actors, character models coming out almost weekly. Essentially, there's new stuff coming out all the time. So recommend you check back frequently. You can see there's tons and tons of characters here, 206 so far in our couple months of having this marketplace open, all sorts of professions and styles and everything. And again, like I mentioned, tons more coming out in the future. Now, these are used, ActorCore characters, they have a very wide range of usages here. They're very low resource. They're all made of a single material, which means they're very, very, and the poly count is very low. So this means they're very easy to use, like plenty of them in your project, whether it be Unreal, Unity, you can throw a whole bunch or close to 100,000 poly, depends on the character that you export. So these are used for, architecture pre-visualization, movie previs, all sorts of other stuff as well. Training videos, there's a whole bunch of usages for them. And they're mainly used for people that, don't have their own kind of modeling skills, I guess. They don't want to create their own models. They don't want to, create their own animations. They just want to have a kind of quick templates to throw in there. So I don't want to go into too much detail on ActorCore because I want to focus more on the demo here. But there's actor. You can see all the actors here. You can filter male, female, yada yada. The motions. There's a whole bunch of motions here. You can also filter by items, motion items, single items here, and packs if you want to focus on just motion packs here. I'm going to be using the City Life pack that I've previously downloaded. So if I click on the City Life here, it'll show like a preview video. You can get a few items. These are all the animations that are part of this City Life pack. Okay, tons of, just basic animations. We're going to be using a couple of chat animations here. But if you want to download an animation, let's go back to our main folder here. Let's close this down. Let's just maybe download a random motion. We might not use it, but depends. We can just go talk, for example. If you want to find motions that are about talking. Here you go, sitting and talking, beer talk. Beer talk might be funny. Oh, so she's just kind of leaning on the table and with a beer. And here's someone with a beer as well. Because we'll have a guy that's drinking beer later, so let's thought maybe, we won't have a use for this. Anyways, to download a motion, just go ahead. You can see it's 225 for this motion, or else 225 DA points, 100 DA points to $1 US. And add to cart, and you can just find more info on it here as well. And then go to checkout. It'll say download, yada yada. Choose coupon. I don't have a coupon. I'm just going to check out, and I'm going to use DA points because I get them almost free. And click on the agree to conditions. Sell your soul to the real illusion devil and continue, and then just place order. Okay, so I'll have this beer talk animation. It's going to take that amount from our whatever, from our account. And then you can go download an inventory. And this works the same way for all the packs, all the characters, all the motions. You'll find it in the inventory here. You go to motion, and I'll just go to items here under motion. And this should pop up in just a moment here. You can see the beer talk right here. You can click on it and just go download. Okay. And it depends if you have a specific character that you downloaded that you want to apply it to, you can select that character here from all the rigs. There's a few default ones that are, it doesn't really matter in most cases. You can just choose like a male robot, which will be your generic male character and character rig, and just go next. And we're going to download this one to iClone. Okay, you can also choose stuff like Blender as well. But of course, I'm going to choose iClone in this. We're going to export from iClone to Blender a little bit later on. And since it's a motion, we don't have any texture, just go to Smart Gallery Download. Okay. And that'll download in the Smart Gallery. I don't believe I have it open here. Oops. Oh yeah, okay. So it'll just see, do you want to install now? And this is in Character Creator, but it doesn't really matter. We'll see it in iClone later on. I just heard the notification sound. Yeah, okay, so that's downloading it. And then you can also, of course, go to your inventory, actors. These are the items, and I have the packs. I've downloaded this like law enforcers. We're going to be using one of these. We're going to be using one of these other ones. You can go to view items from that pack as well. Okay, fairly simple stuff. I mean, there's nothing really complicated here. So I'm not going to do much here. And what we're going to do first is we're going to actually export some characters directly into Blender. Okay, so I have these police characters here. And if I want to export them to Blender format, all I need to do is go to the download down here. Okay, and now for the target application, instead of iClone, I'm going to choose Blender. Okay, and I'm going to choose max original texture size. Don't worry about that. You do not want to embed the texture. Okay. If you want to have blend shapes, you can include facial blend shapes. It doesn't really matter. Well, if you're going to animate your character's face, you definitely want to have facial blend shapes, of course. But again, I recommend doing the facial animation in iClone before sending to Blender. So in this case, we won't export with facial blend shapes. We'll just go ahead and download. And excuse me, it should pop up with a window that allows us to download to a specific place. Oh, there it is down there. I'm still getting used to this Microsoft here. Okay, so there's our pack, and it'll compress the pack. It's compressing it right now, and it'll download it. Luckily, I've already downloaded it, so we don't have to wait for it to download. Let's go to our desktop here, and we have it in this actor folder. Okay, so the actor folder, I downloaded the business people one. Okay, and I think in the other folder, which is webinar demo test, actor, yeah, here's the law enforcement. Okay, so it'll download, and you can, okay, it's like 40 seconds. It'll go anyways here. So yeah, so this will be the folder, and all you want to do is take this folder and export it. So here's the export. We'll just cut this and paste it into our desktop here. I'm just going to create a new folder called webinar demo. Cool. Okay, and whoops, paste that into our webinar demo. Cool. And then we'll export it all. Okay, so what you're going to have is you're going to have an actor folder and the law enforcement subfolder and all the sub characters here. Well, actually, they're just regular characters, not sub characters. You can see all their separate folders here. We're going to be using this female character here, 008. So we'll just go into here, her folder. In your FBM folder, again, you're going to have your diffuse map, your typical normal opacity reflection. And notice that if we open this, it's basically the entire character. So like I mentioned before, it's a single material for the entire character, even the face, the police badge, and the eyeballs, everything's on the same material. Okay, so again, very low resource. And in the textures folder, you'll have all the same stuff for body. Like body will basically be the same, just has the AO, glow, metallic, color ID, RGB mask, and color roughness. So we're going to be using these a little bit later in Blender. And I'll show you that in just a moment here. So yeah, those are all the files And for now, we'll just go keep it that way. We don't need to worry about too much about that. And every material is going to have the same texture map, basically, in terms of size and what's contained on it. Okay, so we've exported from ActorCore. Let's go into Blender now. And in Blender, we have our cube. We can just delete it. Now, again, to install it into Blender, the add-on, you need to go up to Edit and Preferences. And in case I did that too fast, Edit and Preferences. And then there's a folder called Add-on, or an Add-on section, okay? In an Add-on section, you want to go to Install. And then you want to find that zip file that I mentioned before. I have that saved somewhere in here. Production resources, there you go. So it's this one right here, the Blender Tools main, okay? Just click on that and select Install Add-on, okay? And that should be just fine. And it'll install the add-on for you. If you want to see if it installed properly, just search for it. You can search CC3 and the add-ons here. There you go. And make sure it's enabled, okay? Obviously, you want to have it checked. All right, so you won't see anything in your default Blender view, but if you press the N hotkey, again, that's N like north, very important to bring up this tab here, all these tabs, your view, and here's a tab called CC3. Right, this is where you'll have all your main stuff. Okay, this is your main add-on in Blender. So all we need to do is just go ahead and import character. Okay, and we're going to select that character that we exported earlier. Webinar demo, cool. I'm really bad at naming things. And just export the FBX. Okay, just choose the FBX file, and it'll bring that character in. Right. So here's our character. She's all white at this point because we don't have the proper shading mode on. If you want to change your shading mode to see the materials, just go over here to viewport shading, and there you can see the proper shading on the character. Now, if you want to get rid of these kind of ligature joints here, you can just press the invisible button there on the main item. It'll just get rid of those, no worries. You can see the character looks, the shading is not really the best or anything like that. We have a really cool feature in this add-on, thanks to, again, Victor Soup Day. Load up the scene tools here, and there's some scene lighting templates you can just throw in there, CC3 default. And you can see when we click that, you're gonna have a lot nicer shading right off the bat. Okay, whoops, what did I do there? And then Studio Right. Okay, this one looks kind of nice too. Courtyard Left. You can mess around with all the lighting and the camera stuff in here as well if you want later on, but I'm just going to go ahead and use the CC3 default. Okay, so pretty cool. That's how you get your character into Blender. And if you want, you can go into shading, and you can see all your characters, the material outline right here. Okay, all the texture maps from the roughness to the glow to the diffuse, AO, all this stuff here. Again, all piped into your main material node here, PBR shader, and then into here, and your final output. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail into that material output right here. Okay, cool. So now, we can modify this character in Blender if we want. We can modify the materials and stuff in Blender. I'm just going to show you really quickly before we do that how to do the modifications in the substance player, which I don't have loaded up, but I'll just go ahead and load it up right now real quick. Okay, close this down. Okay, so what we're going to do first is, you can see it's already loaded in because I've done it from a previous run or whatever. Just go to Scene, Load Mesh, and then just load your character mesh. That'll be the same character mesh here. This FBX, just change from Collada to FBX. There you go. And it'll stay the same, obviously, because I didn't change or anything. And what you need to do here is you need to open up a file. And this is a substance material file. You can also find this in iClone, which I'll show you a little bit later. This is a substance called material modifier. You can see it's SBSAR file down here. And you can just select this and go to open. I'll show you how to find this later in iClone, so don't worry about finding it right now. Just go ahead and open this. And what this will do is this will basically take the data from our color ID and RGB mask, and it'll allow us to input all of the mesh data down here for base color, normal, and all that stuff. So what we need to do here Okay, what we need to do here is we need to fill in the files here. So for our base color, just select it. We need to find our diffuse. So our diffuse is going to be in the main folder here. Diffuse right here is base color. Okay, just load that in. Do the same thing for normal. Next one is roughness. So roughness will be found in the other folders, the textures folder. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I always just choose body or whatever. It doesn't matter really. Just choose roughness. Okay, and then metallic and ambient occlusion and emissive. Well, we don't have an emissive really for this character. Now, if you want to modify, the cool new feature with ActorCore that we've just recently launched within the last couple of months here is that you can actually modify every part of your ActorCore character. And the reason you can do that is because of your the color ID map and the RGB mask. Okay, I forget how to navigate in the whoops. Oh, there we go. Okay, in the substance player. Okay, so we're going to change the materials on this character really quick. What we need to do first, though, is we need to enable our RGB mask and color ID mask. Okay, and just go up to on and on. And then we need to load those two in. So color ID, again, we're going to load that one in. You can see color ID right here at the end, color ID. And then our RGB mask, same thing, RGB mask. Now the RGB mask and the color ID are used for different parts of your character. And you can see their respective sections down here, tweak RGB. If we enable check RGB mask right here, you can see that our character turns to red, green, and black. Now the RGB mask is generally used for, you can see here in parentheses, skin, hair, and blues for the oral cavities inside the mouth. If you want to make the inside of the mouth different color. But yeah, generally you're going to be using red for the skin. Okay. So if you make that false and go in here to red, you'll see a number of different parameters here. Again, your roughness, metallic, and all that stuff. And what you want to do is maybe say I want to have the skin a bit darker. I can change the luminosity down a little bit. You can see the skin darken slightly. Okay. You can do that. We can increase the contrast a little bit, maybe slightly, and have a little bit more saturation. You know, just have our character have a little bit of a redder face, maybe. She's been on the sun or something. And of course, you can modify the roughness and metallic values of all that, but I'm not going to do that for the skin. I'm going to do that for the jacket. Okay, so we just modified our skin a little bit. And again, you can do all the stuff you want here, no worries. So I'm going to go out of this skin section. And now we're going to go into color ID, and I'm going to just choose true for the ID mask. So we can see from the ID mask that the green section represents the character's jacket and pants there. Okay, so we're going to focus on that. Let's go to the green section here, and I'm just going to go ahead and mess around with the metallic and roughness. So metallic, let's make it, or roughness, let's make it a little bit shinier. Okay, you can see there. That's quite a bit shinier. And maybe metallic will increase the luminosity of the metallic a bit higher. Okay, so the jack will get a bit darker. We can increase the color luminosity a little bit lower. So I'll have it like more like a black shiny leather jacket instead of a blue matte leather one. Okay, so we've done all those modifications. That's fine. And what you want to do before you export, of course, is go up here and choose 2048 by 2048 for your output size. Okay, and you can see when I do that, we can see much more detail on the jacket and stuff. You can just choose 512 when you're modifying to just check the colors and the whatever really quickly without too much load time. Okay, so you know, that looks okay. Looks kind of cool. Rad looking shiny jacket. I guess a nice reflection on the helmet there as well. Again, ActorCore characters aren't going to be the most detailed for close-ups like of the face or anything like that. Just be aware of that. But once you're done with your modifications in Substance Player, then you just go up to Export as Bitmap. Okay, and I just always keep the base name pattern. I don't change that. And we only need to export 3 of them here. We only need to export the base color and the roughness and metallic, because those are the only ones we changed. Okay, just those 3. And I just choose PNG for the export. You can also choose Targa, it doesn't matter. And then just go export. Where did I export to? Oh, desktop. Okay, cool. Close. I'm pretty sure that exported to my desktop. Yeah, okay, cool. I got those three right there. All right, now, so if we want to replace those in Blender, we can go back into Blender and into our material graph here. And just need to find those respective nodes. So for example, we have the roughness one right here. And you just want to change it to use that little folder icon there, open an image, and find that on the desktop. This one is the roughness, right? Yep. And metallic, where do we go here? Metallic's up here. There's the diffuse anyways. Just load in the diffuse map. This one's going to change the color slightly. Base color / diffuse. You can see it gets darker. And the character's skin gets a little bit darker as well. And then our, not opacity, whoops, where are we here? Roughness, glow, metallic's up here somewhere. There we go, the last one, metallic. And find that same metallic. Cool. All right, so now this is how our character looks in Blender. We've modified her. She's got a nice shiny black jacket. Now you can modify this stuff further in Blender using that same plugin, like our add-on, like I mentioned. Okay, you can see here, it looks really shiny. Maybe her face got a little too shiny. And what we can do is let's just go ahead and focus on her face. And we don't want, obviously, we don't want it that shiny. Let's just choose something like studio lighting so we can see a bit better, or CC default. Okay, now what you want to do here is you can also do the same thing in your Blender add-on. So go down here to material parameters, and you'll find some overall ones here like specular. This will be for the entire character though, okay? Notice if I change this, the entire character specular will change, okay? So it's not utilizing the color ID maps yet. I think it was at like 0.3 or something like that, whatever it was, no worries. So what you want to do is you want to go down to texture channel mixer down here. And here you're able to utilize the RGB mask. So we can choose the one like the skin. Okay, this is going to be for skin separately. Just choose skin. And now we can modify the metallic here. Let's change that to maybe a little bit darker. You can see if we increase it, it gets like a golden look on our face there. But we do want to modify the roughness to make that brightness changed. Okay, we can increase that roughness. And now you'll see that'll get rid of the sheen on the character's face while still maintaining the leather jacket there, the shiny, fancy leather jacket. Okay, so that's really all there is to it. There's other values you can modify as well. Like if I wanted to use the color ID mask here, again, the green was the jacket. So you can choose the green there. Base color, we can increase the brightness there. We can make it a white leather jacket, and so on and so forth. It's basically the same parameters that you had in Substance Player, you now have here. Now, what I do want to do as well here is go to Materials Character Edit. This is one thing I kind of forgot to do here. And there is a normal, you can't really see it. I'm just going to move my zoom thing out of the way there. Down here, for normal maps, you want to make sure that your DirectX normal is false. You can see here the slight difference in the normal, because it's kind of just the alignment. There's a disparity in the alignment here. If you change this to false, you can see it's a little bit different, and you want to have it as false here. I didn't do that, but you can't really even notice anyways. And we're not going to use this character anymore at this point. But yeah, that's really all there is to it. If you go into your shading here, you'll see that since we use the, the one color ID map for the skin, you can see that shown here. Okay, the red one and the green one. We use both of them. If we want to get rid of those, if we don't want to use them anymore, let's just again press in here, get our window up here, go to material parameters, and down here again to the RGB mask. If we don't want to use that red one, we can deselect it. Okay, and it'll reload. And now you see the skin is kind of shiny again. If I want to select it, it'll get rid of this node here as well. If I want to reselect it, boom, it'll show the node again there, and everything is back the way it should be. Okay, and that's just basically how the add-on really works to make your shading and materials tons easier. It saves like crap loads of time when you're importing to Blender and modifying the materials. So again, thanks to Victor Supte for that amazing plugin or add-on. Always get those mixed up. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to just take a character really quickly, CC3 base plus character, and I'm going to show you the difference in bringing that type of character in. And we're going to take a brief look at the Eevee rendering and the difference between Eevee and cycles rather, and subsurface scattering. So I'm going to start a new project here in Blender. The stupid zoom panel is always in the way. You guys can't see it, but I can. File new general. We don't need to save this. Okay, now we're back at our block. Okay, I'm just going to take a character from Blender here. This guy here. We'll just load him up here. Now this is a character I generated previously, since I don't want to spend a ton of time creating a character in CC3. We're just going to export him into FBX for Blender with a Blender preset. We can close down Substance Player right now. Substance Player is free, by the way. Okay, so this is the character that I have all set up here. Again, if we want to have him in a different pose, we can go to Content and Animation here. This will soon be all in the Smart Gallery, by the way. We can just give him a pose here if we don't like this one. You know, whatever, something like this. Oh, that's the one he's using right now. There you go. This one's, I like kind of like this one. It's kind of brushing his hair. All right, so this is what he looks like in CC3. Now, excuse me, if you're going to bring your character back into CC3 from Blender, what you want to do is that same zip file that I had before, or not the same one, a different one. Again, that's found, I saved it in this production resources folder here. That's this one, the capital letters here. So you need to export, or you need to unzip this one right here. And it has a couple files inside, your main.python, that's a Python plugin, of course. So what you want to do is you want to copy this main folder here. And you want to take this into the program files, Reallusion, Elemental PQR, there we go. And CC3 and bin64. And there's an open plugin here. And you can see I've already copied that folder here. Okay, so same stuff is all here. And where you can find that in CC3 is go to Plugins and Blender Auto Setup and import from Blender. So that's how you import your character from Blender. Again, I'm not going to cover that in this webinar, but that's how you do it. We're going to export right now. So to export, go to File, Export, and FBX. Okay, and we're going to choose the Blender preset. Mesh and motion, well, if we select mesh and motion, he'll keep this pose that he's in right now. Now, whenever you're using auto setup, it's very important to note, you never want to embed textures when you're using an auto setup. This goes with Unreal as well. You don't want to embed textures because it'll analyze all the individual textures and it'll kind of put them together for you. Okay, so next what we have up is calibration. We don't want the calibration pose. Just choose current pose, that's fine. We don't want the first frame bind pose. Frame rate doesn't matter. Again, you don't want to bake diffuse or specular maps at all. Just deselect that since, again, we are using the auto setup tool. And then just go ahead and export. And once you're done exporting, we'll just go to the webinar demo cool folder. We'll create a new folder called Bossman, okay? And then we'll throw that FBX in there, bossman.fbx. Save. Okay, so that'll, that'll export to FBX. And then we can just basically run the same process in Blender. Again, import, delete our cube here. And again, using the N hotkey to bring up this add-on window here, import character. And this time we're just gonna go to the same folder, Bossman and bossman.fbx, okay? So again, the difference with this character, with CC3 characters, is you're gonna have a ton of different folders for the materials, and they're all gonna be different because they're all gonna be focused on a different Bossman. There we go. So textures. This means you have one for the eyebrows, Your material for the shoes is going to be only for the shoes. Okay. Your material for the teeth is going to be only for the teeth, lower teeth, upper teeth. Okay. So again, this is why the CC3 characters are a bit heavier. They contain a bunch more materials, but we don't need to worry about that too much. Import. Okay, so this is still import in just a moment here, and then we'll talk about a little bit about the shading. There he is. And again, you can get rid of those armatures by selecting the invisible. And again, we need to send him into the viewport shading mode. Doesn't look so hot yet. Just wait until we put one of those presets in. Let's get a nice close-up of his face here. It's always fun going from one program to the next, trying to navigate, change your navigation. All right, that'll be good. All right, so there's a dude. We'll go ahead and choose a scene tool. We'll choose something like Studio Right. Okay, so when we have the lighting, it looks a lot nicer. Okay, really nice. You can see some very subtle subsurface scattering, for example, on the character's ear. And again, this is using Eevee rendering. Okay, we get the nice eyes. The irises are very detailed. Even the mesh on the mustache and everything is very detailed as well. Now, again, you can go into sculpting here and modeling and modify your characters here, but I'm not going to do that in this webinar. That's where you can go to modeling and sculpting and modify your character that way. What I'm going to do here is just go into down here. We have the material parameters, character settings first. Under character settings, we have build settings. So here's Eevee. Right now it's in cycles, so we can change to Eevee. If we have cycles, we can choose our cycles preferences. And let's say something, for example, like we change our subsurface scattering down to like a negative value. And we can select rebuild advanced materials. And when we do that, our subsurface scattering is gone. So you can see the strong effect that a subsurface scattering texture map has on our character. If we take this up to like, 8, for example, rebuild materials, you can see that the nose especially, there's almost like some light going through the nose. If we took one of our lights, let's see which light here, maybe this one, and let's change our power to like, I don't know, 2000. It's too strong. 1000 maybe. Maybe even less. Yeah, you can see the nice subsurface scattering on the character. Maybe even at 200, you'll see the difference. Okay, so it just creates a sort of a nice warm glow on the character's face. I might need to, yeah, there you go. Especially on the nose here, the nose area, you'll see kind of a little area right here, especially has nice subsurface scattering. Yeah, so that's really good. And that's the effect that subsurface scattering has, and you have it for the hair, the teeth, and everything like that as well. And again, you can go to the materials down here with a character creator 3 character. You can modify all the different areas separately. So if you select the character's eyes, and you go down here, where are we here? I'm kind of lost. Material parameters, base color. Oh, you select the Eevee here. So there's the eye occlusion parameters selected, linked. The texture channel mixer, here we go. And you can go down to, there's RGB mask here as well. So your base color, not sure it's not showing up here. There are some settings down here where you can modify the eyes and stuff. RGB mask. Not sure why it's not showing up. I'm probably missing something that I didn't click. Oh, here we go. Yeah, you just select the character first. Okay, so here we go. And then there's, the nose, and this is for like character skin. Okay, if you select the eyes and you have parameters for the eyes, they should show up there. When you're not selecting the proper part of the eye. Oh yeah, eye here. So there's eye occlusion in the in the hierarchy here, and then there's CC3 base eye. So you select that, and once you select the eye, then you can change stuff like the iris hue. Okay, so you can see the eye color change there. And this is not really relevant to ActorCore, but this is just kind of cool stuff you can mess around with. Iris brightness, okay, change all that stuff, and saturation, and go wild with whatever you want there. And then if you want to create a really quick, nice render with a character, there's also a setting down here that's the 3-point tracking and camera. You just click on this, and this will basically create like a nice IBL in the background and have your character in the front. And then if you press just F12, it'll render your character from the front. Okay. I shouldn't have done his eyes so red there, but this is what your character is going to look like just by pressing that one button, and it'll get a front-on view of your character's face. It'll attach to your character's face basically. And if you want to see, where the camera is, you can zoom out in your scene. Excuse me. And the camera is right here. Oops. Oh no, it's this camera. Sorry. You can kind of see it if I use my orthographic view here. Again, that's just holding Alt and moving my middle key button there. It's this one right here. There's our camera. Zoom in a little bit, you can kind of see it. There she is. Okay, so that's the camera. And again, you can move that camera around and just press G and grab it. You can move it over here if you want, and then press F12 again. And it'll be sort of a view from the side, and so on and so forth. Okay. I don't want to go into too much detail on that because we need to get to the last part here, which is creating 2 characters animations in iClone, and then we're going to bring it back into Blender and have them animated. Okay, so we'll just start a new project here again. General, there you go. Don't save. And now we'll load up iClone. Probably should have done that before, but load up iClone here. Now we don't need character creator anymore. Again, I already showed you how to import in with the Blender Auto setup. Okay. That's if you do some like wild modifications with the materials, or not even the materials, just sculpting and stuff. Because Blender has some excellent sculpting tools and modeling tools, obviously. So bringing them back in, that's a good way to do it. Okay, so iClone, the last part here, we're going to animate those characters and bring them in with the animations into Blender at about 20 minutes. Okay, so first of all, we're going to start by finding our characters. Again, those characters I downloaded, that business pack and that police pack, law enforcement pack, whatever you want to call it. So it says new content found. Again, that's just the one animation that I downloaded. I forget what it was, holding a beer or something. So Smart Gallery. Okay, again, with iClone 8 coming out, we're not going to have the content manager anymore. It's all going to be Smart Gallery stuff. So I might as well get used to the Smart Gallery while you can. So you can go to like new purchases. Again, I purchased recently, so it'll be in here. You can also go to character and search for, what was it called again? Law enforcers or business. Search for like business, for example. There it is. Okay, law. Again, we're searching for pack, so it'll pop up the pack there. Let's bring in our business guy first. We'll modify it. We'll do his animation. So with the business guy, let's bring him in. Let's go ahead and bring in this guy here. He's kind of an older dude. Okay, so now this is your ActorCore character in iClone. I wanted to show you as well. So we talked about modifying the ActorCore character materials in Substance Player, also in Blender, but you can also do the exact same thing in iClone. Okay, so in iClone, the way to do it is go to your Modify panel here and go to Materials. And at the very bottom, you'll have an option here to load a substance file. So just go ahead and load that. And there's that material modifier substance file right here. What this is going to do is it's going to bring up a bunch of options. It's going to utilize that color ID map. And these are standard for the character or the ActorCore characters. So you see here now, we have the regular map, but now we have all these substance textures available. And if we go into the different sections here, you can see you have mesh data, the base right here. And you can modify all the other stuff separately. So you can use RGB mask again. So click on this and it'll open another section here below. And again, the red was the base. So this will be like the luminosity. Okay, so that's okay. We're using the, this is the, what we're using here. Oh, we're using the RGB mask. That's why. Okay. And you can change your output size, of course, 2048. It's going to be a bit nicer looking. Again, just this will take some resources though. When you're modifying substance materials with 2K, but you'll see it'll be a lot more detailed. Okay. And use color ID mask here. And we don't need the, so the tweak RGB here, this will be the section where you modify your skin, your hair. The color ID is the clothing and all the other stuff. So we'll just make his, his skin a little bit darker there, or maybe a little bit, because he's going to be drinking. We'll have him a little bit more saturated on his face there. Maybe a little bit more, a little bit less roughness. Okay, not too shiny, but anyways, you get the point. You can do all the same things with these parameters here, the same ones you have in Blender and Substance Player anyways. I don't want to spend too much time messing around with that. You can find that substance material file by going to content, and it's up here on stage. And what am I doing here? Oh, sorry, media material. And I believe it's at the bottom here. Should be. Where is it again? It's been a while since I modified this in iClone. But let me get back to you on that. There's a page I can go to where you can just download it anyways. But that's an SBSAR file. You can maybe just type iClone substance. I don't know. Oh, this will bring up some really old school tutorials. I'll get back to you guys on that, since I kind of forgot exactly where it is. It's been so long since I downloaded it. Okay, anyways, that's how you do that. And it'll be the same file that you use for Substance Player. Okay, so let's get into the animation part. We have this dude here, and let's bring in the female cop there as well. Whoops, we need to go back. We'll just throw her in there. And now where you place your characters in your iClone scene is very relevant, because it's actually going to use the exact same position for your character relative to the scene root when you export into Blender. So if we have these two characters facing each other like this, let's make sure she's at relatively 180. You have your two characters facing each other like this. They're going to be the exact same way in Blender. Okay. Now I'm going to do some quick animation before we end off, and then need to export those characters into Blender. So the animation is going to be real fast in this one. We're going to use the Replica Studios plugin. Very good plugin. You can basically search our website for this Replica Studios plugin. We're going to choose our female character. Oh, no, the guy's going to be talking first. So we'll select him first. Make sure he's selected. And we need to load up the Replica Studios application. And this can be found on our site as well. Go to the sandbox here. And I'm not going to explain all the Replica Studio stuff. I'm just using this for basically for creating character voices for artificial intelligence. So these are AI generated voices, really good, especially for kind of just testing out your scene. Nothing replaces an official voice actor, of course, but
I swear, officer, I didn't drink anything.
Okay, so this guy is he's getting pulled over for a DWI or whatever you want to call it. So that's his accent. Again, you can just generate these characters' voices from a number of different voices. You can go select voice, and you can see there's tons and tons and tons of voices. Again, I won't go into detail on this since it's not really the focus of this webinar. But once you're in this application, you generate your voice, your text here. You can go ahead and select download. Make sure, of course, before that you have your character selected in iClone. So go ahead and select avatar. Now it says he's ready to receive voice. So let's go ahead and do that. Download, and we can export to iClone. We can also download the MP3, but I'm going to export directly to iClone. Okay, and it's going to bring up an option here. Our style is going to be automatic. We can choose like a fear one and have like a medium strength. Okay, since we don't have much time to do the facial animation modifications, I'll show you a little bit, but let's just go ahead and apply. Okay, so it's basically going to use our AccuLips tool, which is the very accurate lip syncing tool that we have to create animation on the character's face. So let's do that. We have it. Here he is, and play back.
I swear, officer, I didn't drink anything.
Okay, so you can see his eyes are a little bit scared, not really scared enough to be honest, but we'll go ahead and work with that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just throw in a chat motion for him as well. So let's go to our smart gallery. Let's go to back and animation and chat. Again, that city life pack is the one I'm going to be using. There's a chat mail here somewhere. There we go, chat stand mail. Okay. So there you go.
I swear, officer, I didn't drink anything.
Okay, so there he is, just doing his thing. And we're going to cut that and we're going to mess around with it a little bit later on. Let's go ahead to the point where he finishes his dialogue.
I swear, officer, I didn't drink anything.
Okay, now she comes in, select her, go to select her from the plugin, select avatar. There we go. Now she's ready to do the next line here, which I just made it up. It's kind of stupid line, but again, do the same process, export to iClone. We'll just go ahead and maybe use anger. Again, we'll just use auto for this, or no, we'll just use anger and just like maybe maximum strength and apply. Yeah, it's going to do the same thing. And what those templates do, by the way, is they create sort of a default template, like default expression for your character. So if I go around and look at her face, she should be a bit angry.
Didn't drink anything. So why is that bottle of whiskey hanging out of your pocket?
Okay, so you can see she has like some anger in her face. The expression is like sort of angry. Okay, just like that. Okay, very, very subtle, not too crazy. Okay, so there's the interaction. We'll have her do a chat as well. This is the chat female. And again, they're both looking off into the distance. So let's have them look at each other. And the easiest way to do that, modify, go to your attributes and go to look at, pick target, pick his head. There you go. And he's going to pick her head as well. Look at, pick her head. Okay, so this is the interaction we have so far. Again, I'm doing this real quick.
I swear, officer, I didn't drink anything.
Didn't drink anything. So why is that bottle of whiskey hanging out of your pocket?
Okay, we can maybe
Your pocket.
end it off at maybe frame 558. A really easy way to set your range is press F3 and go into your timeline. And you can use this button here to set the end frame for your project. And that'll bring this little green triangle over here. And that'll be 558 frames the entire project. Okay, good enough. And I'm just going to work with that. Now, other thing I wanted to demonstrate this other tool here for the male character for his body animation. You can see we have this chat. Okay, so
Where, officer, I didn't drink anything.
Okay, so maybe like right here, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want him to. Let's turn the voice down first. Right here, I don't want him to like move his hands so much. Just like looks kind of weird because he's not talking. Why would he move his hands like that? So what I'm going to do is just at this point here, I'm going to right click. I'm going to break this clip. And I'm going to delete the second part of the clip. And I'm going to click on the first clip, press the tab key to bring it to the very end of that clip. And then we're going to use a little feature called the motion puppet tool. Up here, we're going to go to animation with the character, go to motion puppet, and there's a drunk template. Okay, these are basically just used for loopable motions. Okay, now if I click the drunk motion and I preview it, notice his feet will shift. Okay, now we don't want his feet to shift like that because we want his feet to kind of maintain their current position unless we say so. So what you can do is you can mask out the feet, or the legs rather. And okay, So now he'll lean. You can lower the exaggeration as well, or you can increase the exaggeration. We'll make it something more reasonable, maybe something like this. Okay, now let's go ahead and use that. I'm just going to record until the end of the project and record. Okay, so he's kind of, you know, a little tipsy there. And you can see here, what we're going to do is we're going to just, because we actually use the, I'm going to redo that. We don't need to mask out the body as well because his feet actually moved. That's because of the, we didn't mask out this part, the hip. Okay. Now we can, you know, work with that. I'll just actually bring that in. I won't worry too much about the legs. Let's make the exaggeration a little bit less. Unfortunately, with the hip still active, it'll change the leg position slightly. But you can like use the blend transition area here to make that strong or longer. Okay, it's almost like he's taking a step. If you want, you can modify it a little bit more. Okay, I don't have time to do that, but there you go. So that's the entire motion, and for both characters. Now, do we have time? I can quickly show you how to modify this character's facial animation as well. Let's use this guy. Let's just give him like some really quick facial animation. Again, for the face, we're going to go to the, we're not going to use any of these tracks. We're only going to use the expression track. Okay, so you can see there's an expression automatically generated because we did that from the replica plugin. Now, if I go to frame 1, I can make his expression a little bit more scared by going to face key editor and using a default expression here, maybe something like fear, and just double click it. Okay, these are just, this one's good. And you can obviously change the expressiveness as well. And you can do it manually as well by taking like the eyebrows and kind of bringing them up, bringing them down. Maybe this character, I also want to bring his eyelids up a little bit since he's supposed to be inebriated. And I'll bring his like eyes a little bit down like that. Okay, and that'll retain for the entire animation. Okay, until it stops right here. And then after this point, you need to do it again because it's just going to, okay, it's going to just extend our expression clip right there. Whatever.
Didn't drink anything. So
okay, so we're just going to keep him like kind of like that, where he's just barely awake. Okay, cool. So just wanted to show you that quickly. Didn't have time to get into the lip sync, but again, the process to get these two Yahoos into Blender is pretty easy. Again, the same thing. Now we have 558 frames, I believe, in this project. So when you're in Blender, make sure you change your timeline to 558 frames. Okay. And you can see all the frames there. Excuse me. So let's export these guys from iClone. Let's go to the, how about ladies first? We'll select this female character, file, export FBX, Blender. 60 frames per second is recommended from iClone. We're going to choose the range, the entire project range there. Again, do not embed the textures and export. And let's just go to our, create a new folder for her called police, whoops, woman. And just go in there and call her policewoman. All right, and do the same thing for the dude. Export, FBX, Blender, range, okay, yep. And again, create a folder for him. Again, you want to create separate folders for all your characters because you don't want them to be sharing the textures folder. So very important that you have separate folders for all your characters. That's why I'm creating separate folders. And We will bring the female in first in Blender. Again, it's using the same process. CC3, import character. And this one in, there you go. And she'll be in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. And then we'll make that ligature or armature invisible and just do the same thing with the dude. Bizman. Okay, like I mentioned in iClone, since we position them in different positions, they're going to import in the exact same position in Blender here. Okay, so there's your businessman, right? And you can see all the keyframes. Scrub through the timeline there. There's our animations. Okay. Now, generally in Blender, I mean, if you're working on just animations, you can just leave it with this shading mode here. If you want to see the actual stuff in action or the visual, the nice visuals, again, go up to your viewport sharing, and you'll see the result right here. Okay, good enough. Again, make sure we're using Eevee. Okay, yeah, render engine is Eevee. I was kind of lagging a bit there, but yeah, so there's your animations, your characters in there and everything like that. And I guess we're right at 6 o'clock here, so I'm just going to go, and of course you can add in your audio as well using the video track and whatnot. But I'm not going to do that right now since we're right at 6 o'clock. And well, 6 o'clock here. I'm not sure where it is, wherever you guys are. I know some of you people are madmen watching this stuff at like 3 in the morning. Appreciate that if you are indeed, maybe from India or something like that at this point. But yeah, I think at that stage here, we're just going to go ahead because that's all I wanted to show you really. Again, use our scene tool, studio, courtyard. Those lighting scenarios look quite nice on the characters. And again, with the ActorCore characters, you don't want to go too close up, you know, because then you start to see the faults and everything. You want to maybe have a distance like this or even like this. And there you go. That's what you're going to have right there. Your characters, and you can, you know, render it and all that stuff from there. Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead and take the Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, I'll throw those questions in the Q&A panel there, and I'll get to those, and we'll go from there. All right. Cool. Q&A, where are we there? Okay, there we go. Okay, first question is from Cheryl. If I get pipeline now at half price, will my upgrade price be cheaper? It's included in iClone 8, isn't it? So with iClone 8, 3D Exchange is going to be included in iClone 8, but Character Creator 4 is going to be its own program. So just be aware that CC4 and iClone 8 are going to be 2 separate programs, okay? You will be able to buy them as a bundle, but just be aware that they are 2 separate programs. So if you buy only iClone 8, you won't get an upgrade price. Or if you buy only iClone 7, you won't get an upgrade price for CC4. You only get it for IC8. Okay, so just be aware of that. That's how things are going to work out. So we're getting rid of 3D Exchange, basically integrating it into iClone 8. Okay, question from Daniel. Crazy Talk 8 was used to create 3D heads. Can Reolution use that application to improve the morphed heads in CTA4? CTA4. No, because Cartoon Animator is it's 2D. It's a completely separate environment. 2D and 3D, it's going to be totally different. Unfortunately, you can create a 3D head in Character Creator and render it only using a 2D view, like a orthographic view straight on or something. But there's going to be no other relation between Cartoon Animator 4 and Character Creator 4. Hope that answers your question there, Daniel. Cheryl asks, is Substance Player a third party or through Reolution? Substance is actually owned by Adobe and it's free. That's kind of why I used it. You can just go in there and download it for free. It's an Adobe product. They purchased it recently, I think a couple of years ago or something. But yeah, it's a free program. You can just Google Substance Player. That's the one. There's also Substance Painter and all that stuff. Excuse me. Okay, next question is from Pete. Hey, Pete. You said that iClone 8 won't have a content manager anymore. I'm curious on how that will apply to the custom changes made to items in the template folder. Yeah, so if you've previously saved stuff in iClone in a custom folder, what it'll do is it'll just kind of, I'm not sure at this point if you have to do it manually or not. I hope not, but I think of course Smart Gallery also has its own custom folders set up as well. So Smart Gallery here, you have a custom section, and you can get all the other stuff there. It'll be expanded, of course, but there'll be a bunch of custom stuff here. You'll make your own custom folders and whatnot. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to be automated. I hope so, but if it's not, I apologize for that. You may have to spend some time doing it manually, but hope not. I haven't actually paid attention to that. So thanks for the question, Pete. Next question is from anonymous attendee. Where can I find this in other recordings so I can go over it slowly? Yeah, so I went through it pretty fast. There's a lot of stuff to go through. We did broadcast this on YouTube. So if you go back to our YouTube channel after this webinar, the recording will be there. You can go through it on your own time. We'll also send you a link in the survey we're going to send out later. I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier, we do send out a survey with every webinar. And if you fill out that survey for us, you get a 10% discount for the content store. And we'll send you the link there with that email as well. Hopefully that answers your question, anonymous attendee. Next question from Kevin. Can Free Character Creator 3 users register as content developers using their CC3 serial number? It isn't working for me. With Character Creator 3, you need the pipeline version, unfortunately, of Character Creator 3 to publish export license stuff. And I believe it's to publish any content. You need the pipeline version, because pipeline version is basically what allows you to export that file into any other software except for iClone. So I believe that you would need to get the pipeline version in order to use it as a content developer. But again, if you are using it as a content developer, it could be a very sound investment, because you can sell a lot. You can make a lot of money selling content in our content store there as well. But yeah, I think 99% sure you need the pipeline version to do that. I did used to handle a lot of the developer publishing stuff, and I believe that was the case back then, and I believe it's still the case. Cheryl asks, why would you import to Blender? Well, Blender has a much better render engine at this point. It has cycles as well, which I didn't really show you. So cycles is a type of render engine. You can go to render engine, go to cycles here. And again, this uses ray trace technology, which is going to be very realistic light bounces and all that stuff. It's not going to be simulated. I'm not sure if it'll, let's see here. Let's select the character first. Excuse me. Yeah, cycles right here, rebuild. It's not going to look good on a ActorCore character, to be honest with you, but I won't be able to see it much unless we render it. Okay, so you can see cycles. Again, in this case, it's not going to be too fancy looking, but it does look nicer. Obviously, that one's like too zoomed in. We want to have it, have our camera a bit closer. Which camera are we using here? Oh yeah, let's just bring it closer. Something like that, I think will do. Oh, no, wrong camera. Oh, that's the right camera, but we're just using it the wrong. We're grabbing it the wrong direction. Yeah, I'm just kind of eyeballing this right now. But using cycles, you will get much more realistic rendering than with Eevee. Of course, again, this is a bad case. Generally, you want to have something with a bit more complicated lighting, but yeah, it's not going to be real time, but it's going to be much better quality. Again, not really important with ActorCore characters, but if you are using CC3 characters, then you definitely want to try and use cycles if you want more realism. Okay, so Mark asks, can we get the links to the different plugins used? Yeah, those different plugins are on the main Blender pipeline page. So CC4 Blender pipeline. Oops. Okay, this took me to the Canadian site, I guess. Yeah, this page here, I'll throw this again in the chat window for you guys. There you go. And down here in the middle, you'll find the, or near the bottom, you'll find the download link here. Just click on that and code, download the zip file. And to go back into Blender or back into CC3, back to the Soup Day main folder and CC3 Blender Tools plugin right here. Okay, that does the trick for you there. Also, Len's giving me some camera stuff here. Yeah, yeah, I'm not really super good at Blender yet, especially the camera stuff, but I'm mostly an animator by trade. But okay, hopefully that gives you the stuff you need there, Mark. So that question goes for Peter as well, Peter Johnson, who just asked the same thing. That's the name of the Blender add-on. I just showed it there. You can download them both from that site, from the GitHub. Okay, so Cheryl's elaborating on your previous question. If I get 3D Exchange now, will I get iClone 8 cheaper than if I upgrade from my version without 3D Exchange? Yes. So if you have iClone 7 and 3D Exchange, you'll get a cheaper upgrade price for iClone 8 because you are basically integrating both of those programs into iClone 8. Okay. Anonymous asks, are there any plans to have more detailed characters that can hold up on a close-up? Yeah, the CC3 base plus characters are really good, and they're going to be even better in CC4. So, you know, the one that I showed you earlier, it's really already quite good quality. Again, you can tweak the lighting and the subsurface scattering to get the effect you want, but the shading and stuff is quite decent already. But CC4 characters are going to be even better. And they're going to be ready for all your close-ups. Okay. Mark asked the age-old question, when can we expect the release of iClone 8 and CC4? Right now it's middle or beginning of March. It's probably going to be end of March, early April at this point. I believe I can't give you a specific date, obviously, because there's always last-minute stuff that pops up, but pretty close. I believe sometime in April is probably when it'll be eventually launched. Question from Daniel. In the SkinGen plugin, I was trying to put a tattoo on my character's back, but the UV map seems to have the texture seam directly in the middle of the back. In CC4, is there a way you can modify the map so I can put the back tattoos on my character? Yeah, Daniel, there's actually a way to do that in CC3. You shouldn't have that problem with the, oh man, I guess actually there's a UV tool, but you have to purchase it though, unfortunately. That comes with this plugin pack. It's been a while since I messed around with that. Oh, that's in Character Creator, never mind. But yeah, there's a CC3 UV plugin tool. It's mainly used when you're transferring over materials from DAZ into iClone, but you can use it for other stuff as well. I don't have much time to go into that, but you can check out the, what would it be under? CC3 UV tool or something like that. But there is one that allows you to do that. Kind of dying here. Okay, so Pete asks, does Blender Eevee give you any reflections in real time without an RTX card. Yeah, Blender Eevee gives you reflections. The main difference between Eevee and Cycles is that Cycles uses ray tracing. Eevee is just kind of faking it. It gives you like the simulated light bouncing. Okay, so Cycles is actually doing all those calculations, where Eevee is kind of like a real-time simulation. Reflections are fine though. If you're talking about refractions, like light going through an object, then Eevee doesn't do that, but Cycles does. So reflections and refractions are different. Okay, another question from Cheryl. If I had to pick learning Blender or Unreal of the NVIDIA software for rendering, which gives the better results? So I assume you're talking about NVIDIA's Omniverse. You know, it really depends. I get asked this question pretty often, and it really depends kind of what you want to do. Blender obviously is very, very flexible tool, has a lot of tools for, you know, modeling, sculpting, for rendering, cameras and stuff like that. Blender is kind of superior in my opinion. I also like that Blender runs really fast. It's not a slow program. It's pretty optimized. In my experience, Unreal can be a little bit slow sometimes, especially if you don't have like like a super fast RTX card, or like, you know, Titan card or something like that. Unreal again is if you're going to be using interactive stuff, like having an interactive game, then obviously you want to use Unreal, because Blender and Omniverse cannot create interactive games, whereas Blender is focused more on the modeling and it's just kind of an overall great software, like kind of like Maya. Blender and Maya are fairly similar to each other, I think. Omniverse is the new kid on the block, really. They have excellent rendering speed, especially if you have an RTX card. In terms of rendering, that's all it does really, is it just renders. You can move stuff around. It's very limited in terms of what it can do, but it does create excellent renders really easily. And there is a pipeline, the automatic pipeline that you can export. There's the plugin for iClone that allows you to export Omniverse directly into, iClone stuff directly into Omniverse, kind of like a live link that Unreal has as well. So again, it really depends what your project requires. Okay, next question from Don. Will Relusion facilitate down payment for purchasing iClone 8 and CC4? Not sure what you mean by that. There is, you know, pre-sale stuff, down payment. I'm not sure if there's any, I don't believe there's any kind of payment plans that we offer, unfortunately. I think that maybe what you're talking about seems to be more popular these days. Another question from Don is, are there any lower costing for Premium Plus members to get iClone 8 and CC4? Essentially, all I can tell you in that regard is log into your account whenever you're searching through the software store or the content store. Log into your account, because if you don't log into your account, it's not going to show you your member price. So you need to make sure you log into your account, and everyone will be a little bit different for that. Okay, question from Alvin. Can you use the reach effectors on the feet to keep them in place? Yeah, you can use reach effectors on your character's feet for sure to keep them in place. No worries. They'll just be like locked to wherever they are. It's the animation question there. Okay, question from Cheryl. Oh, thanks, Cheryl. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm a little bit under the weather, of course. It's kind of recently here. But yeah, okay, cool. Looks like that's all she wrote. We have a nice quick webinar today. That's awesome. So I want to thank, especially because I'm not feeling too well, but thanks again everyone for being here today. Hopefully you learned a lot, and hopefully you're able to kind of test out the pipeline yourself. Again, Blender is a free software, so make sure you try and figure out, make sure you at least download it and test it out for yourself. You'll be surprised with the results. And again, make sure that you fill out that survey. You get the 10% discount for the content store, and we'll always have the YouTube videos online on our YouTube channel where you can take a look at those on your own time. And yeah, So cool. That's awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for being here. So I'll bid you adieu. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are on our globe here. And I'll see you guys in either the next tutorial or the next webinar. Thanks, guys.